Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I'm Corwin Heller.
And welcome to the Monday edition of the podcast. It is the statistics edition of the podcast. If we were clever, we'd have something election-related for the podcast, but we are not clever enough to have thought of anything. But that's okay. Maybe it's best we don't think about it and instead talk about football. So, Corwin, you want to talk about football?
Sure, as long as it's not college.
Yes, it is not college, which is funny because I saw I was on Twitter this morning, and saw someone make a thread about Cincinnati's road to the playoffs, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Cincinnati is not going to the playoffs." And then they realized they meant college football, and I was like, I didn't know Cincinnati had a university. So
where Travis Kelce went.
What's it called?
University of Cincinnati.
Well, I kind of should have assumed that to be the case. Anyway, all right.
It happens.
So, Corwin, I made a rather large development, or realization. I'm not sure which is the correct term. The other day, did you know that you can run regressions in Excel?
No.
I just found out.
I'd go out of my way to forget that regressions are even a thing because, man, that is just a low point in my mathematics career.
I loved doing regressions in college, but we also had like a specific regression software that was a lot more complicated, at least than the very, very minimal amount of effort I put into doing this in Excel, where you literally just select two columns and go, all right, regress these, and it goes, okay. But that's what I did to see what statistics can be most closely tied to points, and see what is I guess closer and farther between different tracked categories in NFL stats.
Okay.
So, you want to talk about some relevant statistics?
Oh boy, do I.
Oh boy. All right. So for anyone, a very quick primer on what regression is. A regression analysis. Basically, all you're doing is looking to see how closely tied together, or relatively, I don't want to say quite predictive, but in that vein, one statistic can be, or one metric can be, towards your outcome. This is mainly measured via a variable that you would call R square, which is represented as like 0 point something something something. 0.99, for instance, would be very, very high. 0.5 would be pretty low. So if you had something that said 0.99, you could think about it as a percent if it makes it easier for you. You could think that that's 99% correlating to whatever your output is. So for instance, overall yards, or team offensive yards to team offensive points, has an R square of 0.9995. So that's pretty fucking high. So you would say that yards has a pretty strong correlation to points. And counterpoint, let's see, I know I had something here that was really low.
I missed that show.
What?
Point, counterpoint.
I don't even know what show that is.
It's an old politics thing.
Is it like Crossfire?
Yeah.
I bet it sucked.
Well, I mean, I don't think it had Tucker Carlson on it, so.
Well, Tucker Carlson does make everything worse.
It's true.
I think I deleted the one I had that was like way worse. But anyway, if you had something that was like 0.4, like if we looked at actually, let's do that real quick. Let's look at you want to look at like first downs or something?
Sure.
All right, let's run a quick regression right here on first downs to points and see what the fuck we come up with. Why does that say O? That is not what I wanted, sir. All All right, so that's already actually selected. What happened here? All right, so we'll go with passing first downs. To passing touchdowns. Let's do it that way. Just to see. I'm really curious. I wonder what's going to happen. So it has actually that's kind of nifty. It's got an R square of 0.996.
Damn. All right.
Granted, these are both quantities and not rates, so I'm sure that slight discrepancy has or that lack of noise reduction might have something to do with it. But that's still pretty nifty.
It's
Um,
extremely nifty. It's a
that is
very,
extremely.
very high number.
That is a very very high number. Let's All right, all right. Let's make it weirder. Let's look at passing attempts to touchdowns. Because this I don't think should be that close or as close as that one was, right?
In reality, no.
Well, this could be a good litmus test for us then. Ah, fuck. Come on, Josh, type those letters better. You have
No.
apparently not. So it is lower, but like not by that much. 0.995 versus 0.996. Interesting. I wonder why. I don't know. I got nothing here. That's fucking
When do we
weird.
really have anything though? You know?
Oh, almost never. Is that what you want from me?
Yes.
Yeah, I have almost nothing here. Cause what's so I ran a several I should say to start off. I ran, how tightly yards runs into points, how tightly um plays, just running offensive plays runs into points, passing yards, rushing yards. I think I also did kicks and punts. Um, as you can get to in a minute. And they all had a pretty high R square value. Um, which I thought was kind of odd. But I was also thinking about it, and football is a very quantity sport, you know? Like if you have
Sure.
to be on, like if you're not making pass attempts, then you don't have your offense on the field a lot, which means you're probably not good at offense. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Like let's take a look here. Because I have the actual stats in front of me. So let's take a look at where the Jets are in terms of pass attempts. So I'm going to sort by pass attempts, and let's see how far down the list the Jets are. Oh, they're actually not. They're actually very middle of the road, 240. Wow. The Jets and the Texans are tied in pass attempts, and that does not feel right. And the Texans have 31 more completions, um, 13 more completion percentage points, 800 more yards, 11 more touchdowns, two fewer interceptions. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah, so this is all starting to make much more sense.
Yeah. Wow. Ow. Uh,
Wah,
but yeah,
ah.
that's so bad. Wow. And what team do you think has the fewest pass attempts right now?
The Titans?
It is not the Titans. They are 26th.
Fewest pass attempts. I don't know.
Yeah. What is your impression of the team that would be down here at the bottom of this list? Good, bad, middling?
Fairly good, above average, run heavy team. Like a team with a good defense that can maybe the Bears. Ooh, I think the Bears would be a good pick.
The Bears actually sounds like a great pick, but I don't see them in the bottom 10.
Mm,
The Bears are actually fifth in pass attempts.
that's gross.
278. Wow, that is wild. The correct answer is the Baltimore Ravens.
That is that's a very good guess that I should have gotten.
The bottom 5 teams in pass attempts are in increasing order. The Colts, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Vikings, and the Ravens. What an interesting
Colts, the
bottom 5.
Dolphins, really? Okay, all right,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, the Dolphins, Patriots, Vikings, and Ravens all have fewer than 200 pass attempts. The Ravens only have 165 pass attempts on the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
No. So what's crazy? I'm sorry. This is quite a tangent from where we started. But
Gosh, this is how every episode ever goes. That's
that
just
is
you have to
that is
accept it.
true. The Ravens have 75 fewer pass attempts than the Jets. They have 31 fewer completions than the Jets. But they are only 52 yards shy of the Jets in terms of passing yards. And have 6 more passing touchdowns.
Oh.
And have 4 fewer interceptions. Wow, we are so bad.
Yeah, you're not good, Josh.
Oh my god, we are like it's one of those things where it's like you're not good, but then like you see it compared to other teams, and it's like, oh no, we are really not good.
Yes.
Wow,
You
wow,
are exceptionally not good.
yes, we are very good at being not good.
You are best in the league at being bad.
Ooh, the Jets though are tied for worst in the NFL in terms of passer rate. Do you know who that we are tied with?
Oh, it's got to be like either the Redskins or the Giants. Just something,
It
something.
is neither of those teams.
Who?
The Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
The Jets
We've been
and
doing really
Pats
bad
both
lately.
have a QB passer rating right now of 65.1, worst in the NFL. Wow.
It sounds right though.
And yet the Pats have more yards. Fewer the Pats have 3 passing touchdowns on the season?
That is bad.
Wait, what?
Wait.
Wow.
3?
3.
Oh no.
3. They have 11 interceptions and 3 passing touchdowns.
What the fuck?
They're
Yeah, granted, I
they're
get Cam Newton was doing really good at the goal line running the ball as the QB, but fuck.
the
3?
Patriots touchdown percent is 1.7. Their interception percent is 6.1. Triple. More than triple.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I love it.
I don't know if love's the word I would choose.
I love it. Fuck this team. Um
It's one of those things where it's like I'm glad it's the Patriots, but like, man, as a fan of just like football, oof, that's just gross.
this really just solidifies how bad the Jets team is doing as a whole though. Because you see the Pats here, 3 passing touchdowns, 11 passing interceptions. Um but But to their credit, their yards per attempt is still 6.1. That is double what the Jets is the you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
Um,
I do.
their adjusted yards per attempt is 4.6, which is higher than the Jets. And their yards per completion is 10.9, which is 1.2 yards more than the Jets. And their yards per game is 197.2. This is all passing stats, which is almost 40 yards per game more than the Jets. So even though they have fewer passing touchdowns than the Jets and over 50% more passing, turnovers than the Jets, interceptions than the Jets, the Patriots expected points from the passing game is -15. The Jets points from the passing game is expected points from the passing game is -60. 4 times worse.
How does Adam Case have a job?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
I just don't. I mean, this is the
I
Jets
love
team
how
that had 4 offensive yards, 4 yards of offense in the second half of a game last week.
I love how my immediate reaction to the Patriots having bad quarterbacks is, oh, I hate it. It's gross. But the Jets having bad quarterbacks, it's like, ooh, I love that. That's great.
Fuck you too, buddy.
Oh, thanks, man.
Fuck you too. Um. Anyway, let's hop, skip, and jump back over to some super fun stuff. Josh tries regression. That's going to be the title of this week's episode. And does it go well? So, I would like to offer to you punt yards versus kick return yards, and which one you think has a higher R square.
Okay.
This is once again set to the output of points.
Okay.
So which one do you think has a higher
Uh,
R square between punt yards and kick return yards?
I'll say kick return yards. No, I'll say kick return yards.
Your instincts are good. Kick return yards it is. Kick return yards have an R square of 994. Punt return or punt yards. Actually, now I'm not sure if this is punt return or punt. It just says punt. But I don't know if that means how. Oh no, this is punt return. So this is punt return. I should have been more clear. My apologies. Which actually makes this more interesting. Punt return yards have an R squared respective to points of 987. Kick returns again 994. This is one of the bigger gaps that I've seen. 987 is actually one of the lower ones that I've seen. Having done all this, which is interesting because in my mind, I think I would have picked punt returns as being more important.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like the natural discrepancy between like average punt return and average kick return yards is high enough. Like so many punts just are not returned, whereas
Good
kicks
point.
you're getting 25, and I feel like you score on kicks more than you would punts, but that's just I don't know if that's just observational bias. Um, I don't know. Like it's tough because they are so similar, and it's not something we really focus on or talk about often.
Well, that's actually a very interesting observation because I wouldn't have thought that, but you're totally right. As it stands this season, there have been 0 touchdowns scored on punt returns, and there have been 3 scored on kick returns.
Yeah, it's just so easy to I don't want to say easy, but like comparatively with the way kicks are set up to you have a hole, it's easier for that hole to form for a guy to be able to break free than on a punt where the distance between the two groups when they start off is so much closer. Like they're lining up offense defensive line together and then falling back into coverage, whereas a kick return guys are spread out across the full length on the kicking team. Guys on the receiving team are spread out both ways, across and down the field. It's just easier to create those holes, I feel like.
I guess it certainly would check out that way. I would like to ask you another question now.
Okay.
What team do you think has the fewest punt return yards, and how many yards do you think that is?
Punt return yards. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys because I feel like they just don't allow punts. They don't force punts because their defense is bad, and I don't know who their returner would be. So
The Dallas Cowboys are in the top 10 of punt return yards.
okay.
Actually, sorry, they are 11th. I should say they are 11th.
All right. Well, I don't know.
How many yards do you think is the fewest punt return yards for the season so far?
250.
Punt
No, that's
return
not
yards?
too high. Yeah,
I was gonna say that maybe kick return yards. But
maybe like 56.
okay, 56 would be 14th fewest. The fewest punt return yards in the NFL this season so far is the Minnesota Vikings with 13.
Oh.
Apparently,
Ooh.
the Vikings have only attempted to return 4 punts, which isn't crazy. The Raiders have only returned 4. The Seahawks have only returned 4. The Lions have only returned 4, and the Patriots have only returned 4. But their average yard per punt return is 3.3. The Jets have only attempted to return 2 punts this season and have done so for 20 yards.
What is like how what? I mean, I guess fair catching is involved like when you talk about like attempting to return, but like I had no idea it was that low for some teams. Maybe I'm just so used to having a good defense this year that we returned so many punts, we forced so many punts.
I was going to say we have to compare this to defense now, because I mean it's just got to come down to the Vikings and Jets being scored on a fuck ton, which my intuition would say is what's happening, right?
Right.
Okay, so team defense. What to even really look at to compare this? I guess plays, because if you're allowing the most plays, it means you're probably not allowing a lot of punts. So like the Steelers have allowed the fewest plays in the league at 350, and that sounds right.
Because we the best.
Interestingly enough, the Patriots have allowed the second fewest at 355, and the Colts third fewest at 358, and those are the only 3 teams below 360, with the Packers being at 360. But anyway,
Naturally.
yeah, nifty. Where are the Jets? The Jets are 20th at 455. And where are the Vikings? No, Vikings pretty middle of the road, 409. 13th. 20th and 13th are definitely not great, but they're not like awful. The Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons each allowed over 500 opponent offensive yards or plays, but they're not allowing all the punting. Oh man. Because I was going to say only 2 punt returns from the Jets. You would think that just everyone's scoring on them, which is true. Actually, so maybe scoring percent. Maybe that's a better one.
That would be pretty good. I'd acknowledge that that's a good metric to look at.
Okay, so that definitely makes things worse for the Vikings. The Vikings have the worst scoring percent in the NFL at 57.6.
Holy shit.
Holy shit, indeed, man. Huh?
Like 56% of total drives?
57.6% of the time their defense is on the field, those drives end in touchdowns. Or scoring of some kind.
Awful.
Wow. All right, there are 4 teams over 50%. The Vikings 57.6, the Jaguars 54.7, the Raiders 54.1, and the Cowboys at 50.6. The Panthers dangerously close at 49.3. But
holy shnikes.
Wow. Okay, so that means that the Raiders have to get worse, right? They're sitting at 3-3, whereas the Vikings are at 1-5, the Jaguars are at 1-6, and the Cowboys are what, 2-5 right now? Yeah, 2-5. Yeah, they are 2-5. So that means that the Raiders are due to get worse, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And then the Jets are 14th in the NFL in terms of score percent with 45, which again isn't awful. So why would they only have returned 2 punts? Are we just so bad?
I mean, do you want that answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I know that because it's I guess what I'm trying to wonder here is the problem Jets personnel which I'm not trying to say it isn't because the Jets personnel is very bad. Or could it be opposing players getting too far in that, they're making good drives, so their punts aren't going very far, and there's just no room to make a return. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's too much context needed. You know?
Yeah. Can I find is opposing punt distance a measured statistic?
Yeah, it has to be. I don't know how much that's, effective at displaying what reality is, but yeah, there's definitely a statistic somewhere mapping out how far your opponent punts the ball.
All right, I'm pulling up the box score of every Jets game thus far this season, fully ready to embrace the pain. Okay, let's see if it's in the box score, starting with Jets Bills. Show me punts. I have expected points contributed by punts and by punt returns. I want net punt yards, baby. Give me that sweet, sweet punt. Okay. I've got it. So in the Jets' opening weekend loss to the Bills, Braden Mann, the Jets punter, punted for 278 yards on 6 punts, and the Bills punter Corey Bohorquez, he punted for 53 yards on 1 punt. But I don't know the field position of that punt. Do we need to go
25-yard line?
Huh?
He was on the opponent 25-yard line, and he punted it 53 yards out of the stadium.
Do you have that in front of you?
No.
Or are you just making it up?
Yeah, I'm just making it up.
Okay. I was going to say, because that was really convincing.
Because when we talk about bad teams, it's all convincing.
I mean, you are not wrong. You are not. All right. Ooh, okay. So they have a play-by-play. I'm really committed to this. I'm sorry. I need to know.
I don't care.
So, all right. So the Bills' only punt of the game came from the third quarter, their first offensive drive of the third quarter, where Corey Bojorquez punted it from the Bills' 25. Corwin, you're magic. And it was fair caught by Braxton Berrios at the Jets' 22. So they were not too close pinned to return that. Interesting.
I just want to say, I really like Braxton Berrios.
Why is that? Because his name sounds like a cereal?
No, because he's like a 5'8" little white receiver that's like fun to watch play.
Fair.
I liked him to an extent coming out of Miami too.
I dig it. I have no strong feelings because the Jets are too bad for me to have any of those.
Fair enough. That's how I feel about Penn State this year.
I'm sorry, buddy. I know that one hurts more than usual. All right, so I need to find the two Jets returns because this is driving me nuts. So the Jets or the Niners punted 4 times in their defeat of the Jets. The first one came in the first quarter. Mitch Wishnowsky punted from the San Francisco 14. That's not even. And it was fair caught by Chris Hogan at the Jets 39. There's room for that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? Oh man, this is really.
Are the Jets just Jetson?
The second San Francisco punt came from their own 38, 47 yards, fair caught by Braxton Berrios at the Jets 15. Okay.
Not sure.
And then their third punt came from their own 44, fair caught by Baxton Berrios of the Jets 10, and then their last punt came from their own 41, and it was a touchback. So now this, I want to ask you if you think there's yards being left on the table and how significant or insignificant that could be. Because if we look at, and I'm sorry this is a little bit all over the place. This is not what I had planned, but now I'm just enamored by it.
It's fine.
If we look at the 5 best teams in terms of punt returns, the best team is the Pittsburgh Steelers, 195 yards on punt returns. The New Orleans Saints with 179, the Buffalo Bills with 170, the Miami Dolphins with 139, and the Baltimore Ravens with 131. Those are good teams, and the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
I'm
Dolphins
wondering,
aren't terrible.
No, they are not terrible. They are not. They are a middling team, which is fair. You'd expect to have some middling teams performing well in certain aspects. Otherwise, they wouldn't be middling. They'd just be bad. Do you think the yards being left on the table by the lack of punt returns means anything?
Not particularly. I mean, I don't think that it ends up being, a strong factor for why bad teams are bad and good teams are good. Like, it's just hard for me to look at, how all these teams perform and what they do well and be able to say, oh, this is a defining characteristic of a good or bad team,
I'm just wondering about it because if it was just passing yards or rushing yards, I'm not sure it matters. And I'm not sure this matters either, obviously. But I would think that teams do different things depending on their field position. And that's part of the point of actually taking the time and energy to make your returns, in addition to that slim possibility of you actually taking that back to the house and scoring a touchdown. You're also just fighting for better field position. The game is easier if you are starting on the 50 than if you're starting on your own 25. That's
Right.
25 yards you just don't have to go get. And that means that you can game plan around having to march down the field differently if you only need 50 yards as compared to needing 75. And
Right.
I am wondering if these yards have more of an impact because you don't have to run as many plays in theory, and therefore you don't have to show your hand in terms of what types of plays you're running. Like, I'm wondering if this is somewhat equivalent to like pitch count in the MLB. It's like it doesn't really affect too much in terms of like strikeouts or ERA or whatever. That's still actual result. But like if your pitch count's really high in the first inning, but you got out of it clean, well, maybe you had to show your hand a little bit and start dropping curveballs. Where in the NFL, it's like, well, maybe you're showing some different formations that you would have preferred to hold on to the second half, but you need to do something because you got 3 minutes left in the first half and you haven't scored yet, but you're on the 15 and you got to do something. You know what I mean? Am I thinking too much?
It's hard to say. I mean, it easily could be that contextual. It easily could just be fucking random, and we're, arguing over randomness. That my answer is like a shoulder shrug. Like, I don't know. Like, I just do not have a good answer for you or anyone in this context.
What are you hiding, Corwin?
Oh, I'm hiding the reality of the world.
What are you hiding, man?
Fucking everything.
So what's interesting is if you go to the team offense part of Pro Football Reference and you just look at yards under team total offense, like top of the list right now, I don't have it sorted, so it's literally just the first team that appears. I don't know what the order is for this alphabetic. Who knows? Is the Buccaneers 2603 are the total offensive yards, which is literally just the addition of their passing yards and their rushing yards. Bucks have 1,863 passing yards plus 740 rushing yards. That is 2,603. So I'm wondering if the addition of kick and punt return yards, what that would do. So like the Jets only get 20 extra yards from their punt returns, and that's nothing. That's not moving the needle at all. The Steelers get almost 200 more yards because of their punt return yards. And that's a fuck ton. Like that moves the Pittsburgh Steelers from where are you, Pittsburgh? They're not in the top 10. That's weird. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 24th in yards.
Like total yards?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
24th?
Don't like that at all.
Well, if you gave them 195 extra yards, that would put you guys up to 19th and move you up 5 whole spots. Right above the Las Vegas Raiders, right below the Green Bay Packers. And I'm just wondering if it matters. I haven't convinced myself.
I really just don't know how to feel about that.
While we're maintaining the subject, I would like to also point out one very, very odd piece of business from this stats page. So the Minnesota Vikings, 13 punt return yards. You go, ugh. Kick return yards, 338. And this is a pretty consistent jump you see all over the place. The Bears, 30 punt return yards, 580 kick return yards.
Sure.
The Chiefs, 46 punt return yards, 299 kick return yards. Like, there's a big disparity, which makes sense. You have more room to run. Like, if you catch the ball in the end zone and decide to take it out on a kick return, you'll probably get to, like, the 15 or 20 before you really get touched up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just not surprising. A 15-yard punt return, I mean, literally one of those, you'd have more punt return yards than the entire Minnesota Vikings organization this season. Like that's a big punt return. Yeah, fuck you, Vikings. So the Miami Dolphins have the fourth most punt return yards at 139. How many kick return yards do you think they have?
Ranking or actual number?
Actual number and also ranking. You can guess at either one. I don't really care.
Ranking, I feel like they're going to be 13th.
Okay.
I don't want to guess a number because I'm just, again, context is hard.
Ranking, they are dead last. They have less than half of their punt return yards in kick return yards. They have 139 punt return yards. They have 74 kick return yards.
This is why
they're the only team with fewer kick return yards than punt return yards. The only team.
This is why you don't just guess randomly.
Wow.
Go ahead.
What do you think their average field position is? We should have this available to us.
Their own 22.
I'll keep looking because I know it's on this page, but like, wow, that's fucking bananas.
BANANAS. God, I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, you do.
I hate it.
Okay, I found it. Average drive. They start. Who's this? The Dolphins? Yeah. Where are you, Miami?
Uh-huh.
Reveal yourself to me. At their own 31.4. Are you serious? That's fifth best. They're top 5 in starting field position. What the fuck? Okay, so then this has to be the case. If I had to guess, this has to be it. They constantly get touchbacks, right?
Right.
And so that's just starting on the 25. Straight up. That's just starting on the 25. And they are fourth best in punt return yards. So whatever the average is between, starting out on the 25 plus starting out with whatever amount of punt return they can get, has just catapulted them to being at the top of this fucking category, or top 5 in this category. Because that is fucking wacky.
Yeah. Oh, what a nightmare. What do you think it must be like to be a Vikings fan this year? Ugh, excuse my yawn. Where you go into the season thinking you're a contender for not only the NFC North, but the Super Bowl, going to win a championship, and your team ends up becoming a contender for the first overall pick in a year where, like, a record year for how bad some teams are.
Oh,
That
man.
must be just brutal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of the second Fitzpatrick season. First season Jets win 10-6, and you're like, hey, maybe there's something here. Todd Bowles might be a good head coach, and Ryan Fitzpatrick might have really hit a stride, and maybe the Eric Decker Brandon Marshall combo will really turn it around. And then we went, I think, 6-10 the next year. But even that'd be a gracious landing spot for this Vikings team right now. So no, even then, even that much pain, I don't understand it. Wow.
Yeah, that must be pretty sucky.
And just to pile on it, the Vikings have the worst average starting field position in the NFL. 23.1.
Ooh, close.
Starting on their own 23.1. Wow.
That's just. I don't know how you really ever have a chance to win when you're starting that far back.
So, and this is what I'm trying to get at with the field position stuff, and why I'm so thoroughly enjoying this rabbit hole that has nothing to do with what I kind of prepped today. So the Vikings, Cowboys, and Jets are the only 3 teams that have an average drive starting field position below 25 yards, or I guess closer to their own end zone than the 25-yard line. However, that's supposed to be phrased, right? Only 3 teams. So that's saying that on average, with all the touchbacks that is just commonplace in the NFL today, they still are somehow so bad, I would assume, at punt returning that it's just averaging out to them being below that mark. So if we jump back over to the punt return yards, which I'm just in love with this category now. The Vikings and Jets are 1 and 2 in the power rankings of being bad at this statistical category, and the Dallas Cowboys are somehow in 11th. That's right, we said that right. 11th with 100 yards. So I don't even understand what's happening with the Cowboys right now, because that doesn't make any intuitive sense to me. How that's possible that you could have, unless they're just getting pinned back in their own ass, but still, even then, goddamn. So the Vikings, on average, are starting on their own 23. Their average drive is only netting them 32.9 yards, which means that on average, they're only getting to their opponent's, what is that, 48? Or sorry, 42?
Something like that. Something close. I don't want to do math. It's too early.
We'll call it 40 just to keep it all even. Which would make that a 57-yard field goal attempt, which is not what you want, which is very much so explains their 36.8% scoring percent, and is poorly complemented by their 17.6% offensive turnover percent. Eesh
is correct.
However, also just for some fun additional things, their average drive time is 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and their average points scored per drive is 2.22. The Jets, let's make the Vikings feel better. The Jets, on average, are starting on their own 23.9. That is 0.8 yards better of field position than the Vikings, so pretty close, just to call it the Jets 24. Their average drive goes 9 yards fewer than the Vikings. The Jets' average drive goes 24 yards, which means on average, with a 24-yard starting field position, their own 24, and a 24-yard average drive, on average, the Jets don't even cross the fucking 50.
Which is fucking hilarious.
On average, the Jets' drive ends on their own 48.
Holy shnikes.
That's so... Which would be, if you wanted to, like, try it, would be a 70-yard field goal.
Why would you want to try that?
Why not?
Well, because you're the Jets and you have no other way to score.
Exactly. Wow, man. That's so not surprising at all that the Jets' scoring percent is 22.1%. Their turnover percent is a full 7 points better than the Vikings at only 10.4, but because they don't get very far, not even within a lengthy field goal range, the points scored they have a better time per drive than the Vikings too, 228 versus 225. Their points scored per drive is half of the Vikings, 2.22. The Jets coming in at 1.03.
Oh. Oh.
So bad.
Why?
So bad.
Like, obviously, like, the easy answer for this is, the lack of a preseason, everything that involved with, the uncertainty and all the craziness of COVID. But, like, why are so many teams this bad this year? Like, is this out of the realm of, normal? Or is this just something that we're noticing more because of the circumstances and assuming this is related? But, man, there are teams that are just so fucking bad this year that
no,
in
it
all
definitely
likelihood
doesn't
shouldn't be.
No, this it's like, I remember a big talking point in the MLB season this past season was pitcher injuries, because there was a lot of pitcher injuries, especially with respect to how many games have been played. Like you were looking at like a full regular season's worth of pitching injuries squeezed into a 60-game season because of just the reduced spring training time, and pitchers weren't able to like really get up to speed, so to speak, or whatever the correct term is for limbering up your arm in the appropriate way. But you got it, and teams still performed pretty much as you'd expect. The Rays were really good, the Dodgers were really good, the Yankees were hurt, which they always are, so like it sucks, but like that's not uncommon. The Reds overperformed a little bit, but like they were expected to do somewhat better. The Padres overperformed a little bit, but they were expected to be better. So like, you took the small sample size of the season to be what it is, but everyone performed pretty much talent-wise how you would have expected. But you're right, this feels otherworldly. I mean, the NFC East is not a good division. They should not be this bad. The Minnesota Vikings honestly should have been a good team. They're 1-5. The Falcons, I know, have some coaching shit, but like they've been losing games that they should they literally lost 3 games that they had a greater than 98% chance of winning. You're right. This is fucking weird. The AFC has 4 teams with 1 or fewer wins.
Like, that's just not mathematically, I don't want to say possible, because clearly we're seeing it. It's so outside of probable. I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh man, neither do I, man. Neither do I. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I do not understand it.
I am just glad that my team is not involved.
Yeah. Go tug yourself off somewhere else.
I'm currently doing that.
Although I will say I did bet on the Steelers to win today, so I do need them to show up.
Which, I'll be honest, don't bet. Taking the money line and not the spread, oof, rough.
I hate betting the spread. I hate it, because I'm barely decisive enough to pick a money line. Don't make me think about the points.
Listen, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying it's not what I would have done, because I just don't trust the Steelers. I don't.
I needed to sweeten a parlay, so I figured, hey, rivalry game, anything can happen. Steelers are not the favorites. Makes my odds, makes my possible winnings on this very, very small bet look a lot nicer. I don't care if I lose $10.
Hey, touche.
Yeah. Anyway.
Touche. Yeah.
I am so wrapped up in this now. Wow, this is just so fascinating to me. So, like, wow, this is gonna be so interesting. I'm gonna make a claim because the games have not yet happened. We're recording this Sunday, November 1st, and we started at like 10:30. It's like 11:20 or some shit. So the games have not started yet. Steelers Ravens are 1-2 in starting field position.
Two best teams in football, hopefully, probably.
The Ravens have an average starting field position of their own 34.1. The Steelers have an average starting position of their own 33.5.
Damn.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a bigger difference, Like 33 for the best team and like 20, was it 22, 23 for the worst? I thought that
23.
difference would be bigger.
Well, the way I figured, you gotta assume a lot of relatively close starting figure. You know what I mean? Because you're getting a lot, like touchbacks are just such a part of the game these days.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a lot of 25s in there for every team. And then, most punts, I would venture to say, land somewhere between the 45 and 15. And how much that averages out combined with a lot of 25s to kind of split the difference. Like, that's what I think. I think that seeing these numbers don't paint as even a picture. I think it'd be more interesting to see what they are if you take out touchbacks.
Okay, that's
to
fair.
really make it wild.
I concur with that.
Because so let's say we're the Steelers, okay? We work in the Steelers front office. I wouldn't care.
Love that.
Yeah, any front office, seriously, any front office, please hire us. I wouldn't care about starting on the 33.5 because that's factoring the touchbacks. But imagine, we kick the ball off to the Ravens, okay? Ravens touch it back, it's the 25. Hold. Even knock them back. They take a penalty, you get them a sack, whatever. They're punting from the 20 now. And that punt is going to go, I don't know, let's say 55 yards from the 20. So that's going to put it at the opposing, 35?
I don't want to do math. You're on your own.
25. The opposing 25. How far did I say? 55? Yeah, opposing 25. 30 yards to the 50. 20 yards gets you to the 30. 25. Yeah. All right. Where was I going? I got stuck in my own head doing mental math. Oh, that 25 versus the 25 of a touchback are two very different 25s, Or even pinning, you pin the Ravens back somehow. You get them back to the 15. They punted 55 yards, and now you're starting on like the 30 or 30, 35 yard line. That's really different than just taking a touchback and starting on the 25. Like, how you get that starting field position based on defense and opponent punting means a lot more than just taking the touchbacks. And your own returning, I should also add. Your own returning as well.
Right.
Which, again, the Steelers and Ravens, I think, were two of the best teams at. Right? Punt return yards. Short. Steelers at number 1. Ravens at number 5. Yes. So this is really going to be, this is going to be such an interesting. So the Steelers have an edge in punt returns. The Steelers are averaging 13 yards per punt return to the Baltimore Ravens 8.7. However, the Ravens appear to have an edge in kick returns with 33.9 yards per kick return to the Pittsburgh Steelers 26.1. So if I'm the Steelers, I want lots of punts and not many kick returns. But if I'm the Steelers, I probably wanted that before I made this point.
For real.
The power of staring at statistics for a long time to come to a conclusion that you would have come to anyway. That is one of the most infuriating points of like spending a long time working on like some stats or something just to get like the obvious answer anyway.
Wait, I don't want teams to score, and I want to stop them on defense.
It's like no, like what you want is like a lot of punts. It's like, yeah, no, I want defensive stops. It's like, yeah, but like, you're good on punt yards. It's like, yeah, but I I want the punts even if I'm not
Yeah,
returning well. It's like, all
I
right,
don't
all right.
care if I'm the worst in punt return yards. I still want the punts.
Right. It's like, oh, well, you also want to keep the team from making kick returns. It's like, yeah, I don't want them to score. It's like, yeah, but like, you don't want them to like make a kick return. It's like, but yeah, but the only time they make kick returns is if they score or we're starting a half. So so I don't want them to make kick returns. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, okay.
One is literally the smallest number I want that to be in any point in a game.
Yeah, seriously. If you're a team, you want an average kick return per game of 1, and that is the time at which you receive the ball from your opponent to start the half.
Oh boy, fucking science, math.
Math can be science. It
Is
could
math
also be a
art?
liberal art.
Which I don't
What?
really get.
Oh, who knows? Who knows, man?
Probably
Trying to see.
scientists.
I would hope so. I I would hope that they got that down. Who do you think has the longest average drive time of the teams?
Longest average drive time.
Yeah,
I'll go with maybe the Titans or the Ravens.
this is a really weird top 5. The Titans are 19th. The Ravens, where are you, B More? God damn it. Oh, they're 20th. They were literally right below them. Fuck me. Um, Tennessee Titans coming in with a 2-minute 45-second average drive time. The Ravens 2 minutes 43 seconds.
Okay.
The leader
Who's at the top?
is the Carolina Panthers at 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Interesting.
Yes, however, their average drive goes 38.5 yards, whereas the Tennessee Titans goes 37.9. The Baltimore Ravens goes 30.7. Wait, that's weird. Interesting. So, oh, so is the Panthers offense good?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, because their record's bad though, isn't it?
It's not great. Their defense is. Well, their D line's been pretty good. Yeah, they've had a tumultuous season.
So they are 3-5. They have an average drive time of 3:14. Their average yards per drive is 38.5, and their scoring percent of their drive is 48%, which is not awful. It's not even mediocre. It's pretty good. For comparison, the Tennessee Titans, who I consider to, I think we all, Tennessee Titans and Baltimore Ravens, both 5-1. I think we'd all consider them to be having a pretty nice start to their season. Have average drive times 30 seconds less. The Tennessee Titans' average yards per drive is 37.9. The Ravens 30.7, so both lower. And the scoring percent of each team, the Tennessee Titans 52.4, so higher. Baltimore Ravens 44.8, lower. Which I guess if we were to look just at these very few stats, I would say that the Carolina Panthers defense is probably butt. Let's go to our. Let's roll the tape and look at some defensive stats to find out if, in fact, the Carolina defense is butt. Survey says team defense, yards allowed, Carolina Panthers number 5. They are indeed butt. So the Carolina Panthers offense scores 48.0. I did not need that point. 48% of the time. The Carolina Panthers defense allows their opponent to score 49.3% of the time. Oh no.
Ew.
Not great. The Carolina Panthers offense allows a turnover 12% of the time. Their defense wins the battle, typically, causing a turnover 14.7% of the time. But I guess the combination of 5th most yards allowed and super high scoring percent for the opposing team. Fifth highest scoring percent in the NFL, I should say, is just not enough to save what is what I'm going to assume, since I also don't have it in front of me, a pretty okay offense. Are they?
Touche. I don't know.
Are you?
You tell me.
Ooh,
You're looking at the numbers, not me.
I'm trying to. I'm
Ooh, he's
trying.
trying.
Offense, Carolina
Oh,
Panthers,
we need
fourth
better
most
lives.
yards. They have the fourth most offensive yards in the NFL, and their 48% scoring percent is seventh best in the NFL. So yeah, this is a pretty decent offense here. Their defense is just butt.
Booty.
Straight booty. Well,
Booty.
any other NFL stats you would like to discuss today before we wrap things up?
How many teams are tied with one win?
In the AFC, there are 4. In the entirety of the NFL, hold on, I have, as anyone who listens to this podcast knows, I have 9,000 tabs open. Altogether in the NFL, there are 6 teams tied. Sorry, 5 teams. 5 teams tied with 1 win.
How many teams have 2 wins?
Well, the rest of the NFC East all have 2 wins, so there's 3 right there. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Literally, the NFC East combines for 7 wins right now. That's crazy. Anyway, so there's 3 in the NFC East. There's 1 in the AFC East. There's 4, 5, 6, 7 teams with 2 wins.
So there's 7 teams with 2 wins.
Yes.
And there's 5 teams with 1 win.
Yes.
And there's the
1
Jets.
team with no wins.
Man, Trevor Lawrence is probably sitting at home with his COVID, just thinking, man, I just have no fucking idea where I'm going to go.
Now, if I was Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't be that afraid of coming to the Jets, all things considered, because we're likely, hopefully, god damn it, not keeping this head coach through the end of the season. We have a buttload of cap space, and we have a million picks in the upcoming several drafts. So there's certainly the opportunity for a young quarterback to be built around. This, once again, though, just hinders upon the conversation you and I had a few weeks ago of what the fuck do the Jets want to do, and can you please, for the love of God, just make a fucking decision? Because that is the real crux of the issue here.
Right.
Anyway. Profound sadness from both my government and my Jets. There's no winning on the news or the gridiron. Anyway, shall we wrap up for the week, or is there anything left to say?
No, I'm good.
Oh, how about this final score prediction for the Steelers-Ravens game?
28-27.
Which team takes it?
You're really gonna make me say, huh? I'll put my mouth on the Steelers.
You'll put your mouth on the Steelers?
All right.
That's how you wanted to phrase that?
No, that's not how I wanted to phrase that, but that is how I did phrase it. Oh my god, who lets me fucking do this?
I'll put my mouth on the Steelers.
The thought process there, all lack of it, was like, I don't want to say put my money on the Steelers because I'm not putting it, but I'm like, well, I am saying it, so I'll say I'll put my this is my formal resignation from this podcast.
From speaking.
I'm just gonna do fucking Microsoft Sam, just like text to speech for the rest of my life.
I'm here for it. So you're going with the Steelers 28-7, 28-27?
Yep. Mouth and all.
All right. Lips and teeth. I am also going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Steelers 32-24. This one's going to be weird.
Oh,
make it weird.
I am all about that.
I would also, because I completely forgot to update it, but for the last World Series game, I had made starting pitching predictions. So I just wanted to loop back to that real quick because I totally forgot I did this. I had said Clayton Kershaw was going to go 7 innings, allow 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 runs, and 9 strikeouts. Clayton Kershaw's actual line for the final game of the season. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. This was for Game 5, not for Game 6. My bad. Game 5. That explains why this looks so weird. Clayton Kershaw's actual line was 5.2 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So I was shy on the innings, over on the hits. Sorry, I guess I was under on the hits. Kershaw was over on the hits. Nailed the runs, nailed the walks, and was too liberal with my strikeouts. And I predicted Glasnow will go 4 innings, allow 6 hits, 4 walks, 3 runs, and 8 strikeouts. And this one I was actually super close on. He went 5 innings pitched, 1 more than I had given him. 6 hits, nailed it. 4 runs, 1 more than I had said. 3 walks, 1 less than I had said. And 7 strikeouts, 1 less than I had said. So really, right, I was only off by 1 on everything except for hits, which I had gotten on the money. So I'd say Josh did a pretty okay job.
Good shit, man. Good shit. I'm proud of you, bud. You really showed him.
Thanks, pal. So take that into consideration when I make my Steelers over Ravens 32-24 prediction.
I will.
There you go.
I will take that.
It means literally nothing, folks. It means absolutely nothing. Josh does not know football as well as he knows baseball. And even then, I was only kind of close on a lot of those things. Anyway, all right, shall we wrap it up?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you want to hit us up via email, you can do so at juicingthenumbers@gmail.com. You want to hit up our Teespring page. You can just search the name. And until Thursday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.